Here's to all the folks out there that have limiting beliefs. Here's the folks out there that have fear. The folks that, am I worthy? Do I deserve this? You know, I was always, I was able to do some good things back when I was growing up, but always knew there was something great. And I just didn't want to, when we come into this deal, I didn't want to come into this thing half-heartedly. I didn't want to die with the potential inside. I wanted to be exceptional, but I had limiting beliefs like some of you have. So I was blessed to be able to surround myself with people like my buddy who's had my back for 30 years. I was able to surround myself with the fun and money guys that always told me, you can do this. You're special. You're great. And I started believing it. To the corporate staff, Mike, thanks for saying yes to this thing. Thanks for always having the company's back. Dan Stamen, thanks for saying yes, bud. You could have easily rode off in the sunset, but you didn't. And look at all the lives that were changing. Eddie Head, your pursuit of excellence, dude, you're my quarterback and I'd follow you anywhere. And Mr. Wade Nugent, the fire that died inside of me 9 years ago, it was just a little flicker of flame. And when you came to Oklahoma City, that flame started coming back, brother. You changed my life like you never know, and I'll love you forever. I tell you, when I got started in this thing, my family had to take a back seat for a while. And I apologize for that. And we get a lot of spotlight, but I tell you, this spotlight should shine on my wife because she's the most unbelievable person on the planet. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary about 2 weeks ago, and I'm more in love with her than I ever been. World Ventures, thank you very much.
Well, guys, that was such an amazing snippet. That was from the triple IMD on the stage in 2014. And we've obviously got the pleasure of having our guest speakers on the call today. And, you know, in 2020 in Momentum, Cape Town, ladies, if you were in the room on the Friday evening for the ladies training, I bet you'll agree that, you know, the lady that we're going to introduce you tonight did a really, really amazing segment. And as a gentleman, I just wish that I was in the room. So guys, you know, we were really blessed, you know, seeing a little bit of that video to see this couple that we're going to be interviewing on our call today. We're really blessed because, you know, we've met them in person. And when I say salt of the earth, you know, that's exactly what they are. And, you know, the gentleman that we're going to introduce you actually needs no introduction because, you know, he is a knighted trainer in the business. He is also a quadruple international marketing director. And, you know, also he saw this information at ground roots levels 15 years ago. And he was one of the early pioneers in the business that saw the vision, saw Wayne Nugent's vision, and, you know, to build a business and go through so much in a period of 15 years and to still be here, still be a servant leader. And right now they're in Oklahoma City, and, you know, him and his amazing wife have given up, you know, 30 minutes just to be on a call with us. So we're really blessed, we're humbled, and we're privileged, you know, to have these incredible individuals on the call. So without further ado, on behalf of Sally, myself, Team Expansion, Building for Success, and all the other teams out there, guys, we want to give a massive, massive welcome and a shout out to Jeff and Cindy Bolf. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
Doing great. How you guys doing today?
Oh, fantastic. Now that you're on the call.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry for our casualness. We had a huge storm roll through last night, so we've been picking up limbs all morning out of our pool. So kind of crazy morning, but pleasure to be with you guys. Thanks for getting on, and thanks for your commitment to World Ventures. It's kind of crazy. We were just talking our last trip. was when we saw you guys. That's the last time we've been on a plane.
Wow.
And we are, to say the least, chomping at the bit, not only to come back, but it's some crazy times. But, we'll just kind of share a little bit of our story to start, guys. We're from Mustang, Oklahoma. I ran an insurance agency for about 20 plus years. Like a lot of people out there, at the end of those years, I was getting burned out. I was stressed out. We were working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, never saw our kids. Our relationship was strained at best, and got a call about 15 years ago from Wayne. And, I'll never forget it. We sat down with Wayne in Oklahoma City, and he laid out this vision of what this could be. And understand it was a time that, my dad was going through stage 4 cancer at the time without adequate insurance. My house was being foreclosed on, 2 vehicles about to be repossessed, bill collectors relentless. And we had a startup company we were looking at that dealt with travel, something we had never done. And, Wayne had a gleam in his eye. He had a spark in his eye like I'd had back in college, but I'd lost it over the years. Why? Because life had beat me down. And, when I looked at him, he had that spark, man. And I started believing again. And so that flicker of flame that had died out over the years started coming back. And I started dreaming big again. And understand, guys, this is when we were just starting. So we had one dream trip. It was sold out. Didn't even know when the next one was going to be. Our technology didn't work.
We didn't even have it.
Yeah, we didn't have customer service. You're looking at them. And, for some, pressure makes some people break. It makes some break records. I didn't need to know anything else. I just need to know he could pull this off. So, we got house every night. And you might be saying, that's extreme. Yeah, it is, but what's your life worth? See, I was chasing one thing, freedom. I had to live full time to no longer make decisions based on time or money, but for more importantly, this was the vision. This was the vision I wanted to, I don't know if you can see this well, I wanted to just hang out here and, do, fish in the morning, go swimming in the afternoon, and call my buddies all through the day and say, hey, you want to come join us? And they'd be like, what are you talking about? And so that was the dream. And, for us, I sat down with the kids, basically day one and said, I'm going to miss some ball games. I'm going to miss some plays. I told Cindy, don't count on me anytime except Thanksgiving or Christmas. Now that's extreme, but I needed one thing. I needed freedom. So, that's how it started. So I'll let Cindy kind of come in and, there's a question about were we on the same page? Not even close. So I'll let her kind of explain what happened in her words, and we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Well, first of all, I just appreciate having us on here today, and it's great to see you guys again. And like Jeff said, we were just talking that the last time we were on a plane was coming back from South Africa and Cape Town, and we cherish those memories, and we can't wait to do it again. But today, even despite what's going on in the world, we still live a really blessed life, and we're extremely grateful for it. But it hasn't always been that way for us. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of, tears, a lot of grind, a lot of sacrifice to get where we are, and kind of asking if we were on the same page. We were broken as a couple. We were broken as people. We were broken in faith. We were broken in our finances. And it wasn't that I didn't have vision with the company or believe in the company. I wasn't with Jeff when he just came home and was excited about this travel. Never got to travel because we had time or money. And all I saw was, this is another thing that we're going to spend more money on that's never going to come to anything. And it was more not so much not having belief in the company, but just not, I believe, a year later, they were making any more money than when they started, and was really just on their way out. So I wasn't sure if it was going to work or if it wasn't going to work. But the one thing that I did know was that I knew that Jeff needed this for Jeff, and I needed to support him no matter what. And kind of a really turning moment was I was with Keller Williams. I was starting my real estate career, and we were coming home from a Keller Williams Christmas party. And it should have been about a 30-minute drive home. And we ended up taking some back roads home and ended up on some dirt roads. And it was a 3-hour, basically just breakdown of both of us, just pouring out our hearts, our souls, our feelings. Jeff telling me why he wanted to do this, what he was frustrated about, what his goals and dreams were for our family. For the first time, I felt like in a long time, he actually listened to me and my concerns, and why I was doubtful and what I was worried about. But at the end of that car ride, like I said, I just knew that Jeff needed this for Jeff, and I needed to support him. And I also knew that things were going to get tougher before they got better. And sure enough, they did. But the sacrifice was definitely worth it.
So, what I would tell you during those first couple of runs, guys, we talk about 30, 60, and 90-day runs. Literally, when we looked at this 15 years ago, my business partner and I, Troy Brown, he was an anesthesiologist at the time. I just looked at him and said, I'll work as hard as you want to work. But understand, he was still running an anesthesia practice, and he was the only one at the hospital at the time. So it was almost 24/7, him on call. So he could do a meeting in about a 15-mile radius where he is at. And I remember there's many a times he's doing a presentation, and his beeper would go off, or they would call him back to the hospital, and he'd look at the person hosting the meeting saying, you're going to have to finish this up. But, for me, a lot of times it was leave in the dark, get home in the dark. Mm-hmm. I left my kids when they were horizontal, meaning they were sleeping when I left, they were sleeping when I got home. And again, you might be saying that's extreme, but for me, my question to you is, what's your life worth? What's freedom mean to you? So what it took to build in residual income in 15 to 20 years in the insurance business, we matched in 6 months here. And understand that's when we were a startup company. So if there's a lot of new folks on here, or even old, understand this, it'll never be worse than this right now, and it's the best thing I've ever seen. Yes, we're in this COVID time. And for us, it's been a learning curve, meaning that, we had to get adjusted to webinars and doing, I'm not good at being behind a screen like y'all. I want to be in front of the person I'm talking to, but it's kind of the life that we've kind of forced into right now. But what I would tell you is that we just made a decision to go for it. And during these crazy times, we found out who was really working. Mm-hmm. And you might be saying, what do you mean we found out who was working? Well, you got all the time in the world on your hands. Understand, you could probably get 5, 6, 7, 8 webinars in, because it's too easy to go over what our product is, now with the silver package on top of it, so it's really pointed out who's working and who's not. The key to this in anything, yes, there's unbelievable training. There's unbelievable trainers that come all over the world. But the bottom line, there's no magic script. There's no magic wand. The bottom line is activity. As I've said for 15 years, activity cures all ills. And it comes with a mindset that I'm not going to let the outside world influence me. See, there's this COVID world. There's this crazy election going on over here in the United States. There's all this crazy stuff, but we're buying into Wayne's World. So for us, I don't watch the news. I don't watch any of that stuff because I don't want to get, bad in, bad out, so to speak. So what are you listening to during these times? What are you reading during these times? Are you listening to our CDs? Are you plugging into our audios, our trainings, that kind of thing, good in, good out? And, right now during these times, what am I telling people? They might be saying, oh, you're not traveling. You're right, not yet. So let's go make some money. Let's go build a residual income right now. So when this does lift, hey, guess what? There's no worries. Not only do we have residual income coming in, but guess what? We now can travel the world. So, for us, it is crazy times right now, but we got teams that have decided to make a decision. They're absolutely blowing up right now. We are popping directors and marketing directors like hotcakes. And now with this new promotion, it's even faster. So even though it's crazy times, even in your country and even our country, the bottom line is you can still get it done. And it comes down to activities. So how many webinars are you doing a day? Mm-hmm. Do you want to address any questions up to this point on what we've covered?
I do, guys. So, we're excited to have you on. And Cindy, I want to take you back to, because we obviously sent you a couple of questions yesterday. And I know that I personally get asked this question often. So I've got involved in the business. I'm super excited. And Andrew and I were in this space 3 years ago. He wasn't sure that the company was real. I had already fallen in love with the company. I'd come to the 10-year convention in America, and I wanted to go out every night to a travel party just to learn how other people were doing it. And people ask me all the time, what do you do when your significant other doesn't support you? Now, Cindy, I know what I heard straight off the bat from you is Jeff needed this, and I got to let him go do it, and I got to support him. Andrew realized the same thing. Sally needed this at that time, so he was going to support me. What advice can you give people on the call tonight about that? If their partner is not supportive?
I think, first of all, you need to define the word supportive, because I think sometimes people that are the builders in the relationship, if they don't see their spouse out building at the same level that they are, they're saying they're not supportive, when that's not true. It's just a different role that they're taking on. So you can't force your partner to, it'd be like if Andrew wanted to go to medical school and study to become a doctor. You're not going to be going to all the college courses with him and going through all the classes and doing the work of what it takes to be a doctor, but you're going to be there supporting him and doing what it takes back at home so that he can go live his dreams and chase his dreams. So the first question I would ask is, what do you mean by my partner not supporting you? The next thing I would say was, I was very skeptical too, because I had heard a lot of these dreams and goals and ambitions from Jeff, and quite frankly, and we've talked about this, a lot of those didn't come through. He had made all these promises, but there wasn't anything to back them. And so one question I get is, when did I completely come on board? And most people think it's when the checks started rolling in, but couldn't be further from the truth. I can tell you that probably when the kids and I really, really got on board was when we started seeing Jeff change as a person. And when we started seeing him grow and him going out and doing the activity and doing the work like he had never done before, and also pouring into people. When somebody would cross stage that he had helped, helped them in their business, and they had hit a rank, Jeff would be literally over on the side of the stage bawling like a baby with pride. And so that's really what got me and the kids on board, was we were just so proud to see who he was becoming. So, if your spouse isn't supportive, give them a reason to be supportive. Show them that you really mean this, give them some space. And then I think Jeff too was really good about, I was working 70, 80 hours a week selling real estate, and our kids were 5 and 9. So I was trying to get them to and from school and to and from their activities and take care of sports and be a mom and everything. So it was really tough, but Jeff never forced World Ventures on me. He let me become a part of the culture instead of just trying to cram it down my throat all the time. And so that was also really helpful, because if you go to an event or you go on a dream trip and you meet the people in this company and the people behind it.
One thing I want to add, good stuff there. One thing I want to add is that, when you make a commitment to do this and you profess out loud to your family, you're going to go build this thing, how do you get a supportive spouse to get supportive, or an unsupportive spouse to get supportive? Go do what you say you're going to do. I see so many people that, hey, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to make this happen, and they don't do it. So my mind is, your family's watching. So if you don't follow through with what you say, how can they trust you? How can they trust in what you're saying? So what I would tell you is, if you're going to make the commitment, first off, sit down with your spouse or significant other and paint that picture for them, what you see out of this, what your vision is, So they'd be more apt to kick you out the door when it's time to go do a presentation. Now, understand, we're in a different time right now where you can get on your back porch like we are, in your living room or wherever, your home office, and you can do presentation after presentation after presentation. So go prove it. And one thing I would tell you is that, if you have kids, include them. Include them that say, hey, if mom or dad goes do 10 presentations, we're going to go get ice cream. Or if we do 20 presentations, hey, we're going to go to the movie or we're going to go out and eat. And include them, and they're more apt to say, Daddy, did you do this many presentations or whatever, and get you kicked out the door, and then build up to a hire that you're going to go on a dream trip when this opens up, and they'll really get behind what you're doing.
That's a great takeaway there. And I want to add to that, and I'd like Cindy to ask onto this, because you mentioned about you doing your real estate, and Jeff was following his dream, and that, let's face it, 15 years, a lot of ups and downs in that time. And, building a business, and especially difficult times, how do you guys as a family deal with the difficult times together? Because it's not always the peak stuff, there's also the valleys as well. And how do you guys connect as a couple and a family? Because you guys are both invested into this together. So how do you deal with those tough times building the Will Ventures business?
One thing I would like to say, and it kind of goes back to the COVID question as well, is, in 14 years, and again, in real estate and in World Ventures and anything, you're always going to have obstacles. Your obstacles are going to change. Some obstacles may be bigger than other obstacles, but you're always going to have obstacles, but at the same time, you're always going to have opportunity. And it's going to be what you focus on. And if you focus on the obstacles and the reason that you can't succeed, or why you're having so many problems, then you're going to struggle. But if you focus on the opportunity in it, and you keep your mindset right, and you keep your vision to where it needs to be, that's what really gets us through it, that and communication. And I'm not saying it's always been easy, because it hasn't, but, I think Jeff and I are both really good, when we have our down times, that we're there to pull each other back up and to remind each other, hey, we need to, we're complaining about the COVID and not being able to get on an airplane, but how gracious are we for our residual income and what we've built, and that we have a great pool and a great lake behind us that we can enjoy and spend this time with our family and not worry about our finances while it's going on. So you always gotta, I think it really is just your perspective and what you focus on. And then as a couple, it all goes back to communication. It really does. And it may sound easy, it sounds like it's easy. Communication's not always easy, but it's kind of like, when you don't want to communicate about something, that's when you need to sit down and communicate about it.
Hey, and this has been a learning process over 15 years. This didn't, everybody sees the rings and the speeches and whatever. They didn't see the behind the scenes there were some tough times. There was some tears shed.
Oh, yeah.
But the bottom line was there was enough communication to say, hey, we're going to pull through this. And then the proof that it happened. The money started showing up. You see, even though we were in a tremendous bind when we started, it was acting as if RA is making $15,000 a month. And you're like, how do you act as if when they're calling relentlessly on your phone to collect this bill or whatever? It was almost like we willed ourselves to win. It was going to happen. It was a mindset, and you got to be around the right people. I always say 15, 20 years ago, I was hanging out with the rough and rowdy crowd. It wasn't the crowd to be a part of. It was bad thoughts bad stuff happened. And so, when I got around my buddies, like the Byrons of the world and Martin Ruoffs and, my buddy Troy and all these people, see, they had what I wanted, and they had a mindset that they weren't going to let nothing faze them. And so, not to throw this out, if you're into sports or whatever, and you watch the Michael Jordan, series, it was almost he willed himself to win. We did too, in a time where we didn't have dream trips. The first one was sold out. So can you imagine doing a presentation in front of 50 or 100 people and saying, someday we're going to have these things called dream trips. Someday we're going to have a technology that will work. Someday we'll actually have customer service where people will answer the phone. Are you ready to get started? And understand, back then, guys, we were selling a $500 product, and we did it all day long, like it's hotcakes. Now please don't take me wrong here, but the silver deal at 25, you got to be kidding me. It's almost too easy. But you might, on the flip side, say, well, people aren't traveling. They aren't yet, but they want to and they aspire to. So let's go make some money right now. Let's go build a residual to when this does lift, we'll be having so much fun, you can't stop us. So, you know, for us, once this started, I've never made before, you can start doubling, tripling up on back payments, you know, and you can start getting ahead and you can start getting, you know, kind of that breath of fresh air that, hey, I'm going to make this thing. And every single person on here, what's the beautiful part? Every one of you can have a piece of the pie. It's not for the few that choose, or it's the few that choose, not the chosen few for sure. And it's the ones that make a decision. I remember, you know, back when we started and they kept talking about, man, you need to come to Tennessee. Okay, why do I need to come to Tennessee? Well, we can put 300 people in the room. I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow. So I fly to Tennessee, and guess what? We're waiting for the meeting, and they got this big auditorium, and no one's showing up, you know. And finally, about 8 people get there. Well, guess what? 8 people made a decision that night. 8 people turned into 80,000. Was it a good meeting?
Yeah.
I don't know till about 3 years later. So again, when you find the right one, you lock arms with them and you go build and you go build and you go build. So how do you get ready for a massive run? See, we've had many massive runs over 15 years, and you do have to get yourself keyed up for it. You got to get yourself the mindset that I'm going to take the next 90 days and I'm going to sacrifice. It's just like I remember, you know, 13, 14 years ago, I was talking to Dan Stamen, you know, our CEO at the time. And I don't know how we got on it, but he goes, are you mowing your grass? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, why? And I said, well, because I like to, for one, and I like my yard looking good. And he stopped, stop mowing your grass. He said, how are you going to get work done with World Ventures if you're mowing your grass? And I literally just started putting stuff on the back burner, so to speak, to focus on what we wanted. And it was the activity to go make this happen. So, you know, when I came from an insurance background, you know, when I started early years, a company called Combined Insurance, not to bore you with this, but their pinnacle in their company was to sell 100 policies in a week. Anytime I ever did it or trained people to do it, it was a foolproof system. I would mark off 100 boxes on a big old sheet, and each box counted as a presentation. Kind of reminds us of a focus board. And anytime I ever did 100 presentations, I'd sell 100 policies every single time. See, you got to let the numbers be your friend. So when we came into World Ventures, they said, hey, man, to get to this director level, you need about 30 personals. I said, no problem. I'll have it next week. And they're like, what'd you say? You'll have it next week? Yeah, I already knew the numbers. So I left with a 3x5 card, and I'd have 5 boxes on it, and I wouldn't come home unless those boxes were full. That's the formula. That's the activity. Are you willing to put in the activity to get to what you want? Because the people that are out making this happening right now, 5 presentations right now with Zoom, and please I don't want to step on any toes here. I just want to tell you the truth. I think it's a joke. We can do 5 presentations before noon. And I think back to those times in the insurance, if I could get 15 no's before noon on a Monday, I knew I was going to have a tremendous week. And you're like, 15 no's on Monday before noon? Yeah, you had to be out of the office at 8 o'clock and you knocked on a lot of doors, but you had to be thick-skinned. No, I hate insurance. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. And then the numbers would flip. But guess what? In World Ventures, we get to talk about the world travel. See, travel is an inherent yes. And if you don't believe me, if you have kids or grandkids, go ask them if they want to go to Disney World. Go ask us if I want to come to Cape Town. Yeah, I do. You know, it's something that we want to do, and I can't store that in the garage. I wish I could, but I store the memories there, the memories of what we had, so it makes you want to go show another one. You know, and I was talking to some people the other day, the mindset being this back in those days, and even, you know, now it's, you know, yes, we've got the multiple IMDs and got residual and stuff, but the mindset is this. When somebody told me no, or, hey, this is a pyramid or this is a scam, I didn't even hear what they said. So would the gold or platinum fit you best? And they're like, wait a minute, what did I just said I didn't have time, I didn't have money, this is a pyramid, this is a scam. I didn't hear that. I said, oh, that's totally cool. Would the gold or platinum fit you best? And they'd look at me like I was freaking crazy. But that was my mindset, and I didn't hear what they were saying. I wanted them to hear what we were saying.
I think that one thing that's really critical too is Jeff always talks about activity cures all ills, but it's money making activity. There's so many people, and it's in every industry. It was in real estate too, where so many people are so busy getting ready to get ready. They think that they have to do everything perfect. They think their presentation has to be perfect. They think, and so they consider themselves being active, but they're not doing money-making activities when it really comes down to doing the presentations and getting it in front of people. And it doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. What matters is the activity. Jeff's made every mistake in the world. I've made every mistake in the world. I could be so excited and try and share this with somebody, and I still make mistakes, and that's just part of it. But it doesn't matter because they don't know. So it's, again, it's, don't fool yourself into thinking getting ready to get ready is what activity is. Activity is just doing it, getting out there and jumping. And it's so easy for us to get comfortable and surround ourselves with the trainings and plug into these Zooms. But really and truly, what's going to make you money is getting other people on the Zooms, getting other people on your team to the trainings, getting the presentation shown to more and more people.
I hope everyone caught that. Money-making activity besides busy activity. I see so many people get caught up. And again, we got a great Dream Trips app. We got all this cool stuff, but I see so many people, like Cindy said, that get ready to get ready, and they never get ready to do anything. And so
take the leap.
You got to take the leap, and you got to be willing to mess up. For me, I would say there was 4 things to greatness. And the first thing is pain. And you might be saying, pain? That don't sound very fun. And it's not the pain of sports. It's the mental pain. Meaning this, when my friends and family looked me dead in the eye 15 years ago and told me I was stupid and crazy for doing this, I just looked them back and I said, I'll tell you, the second thing is sacrifice. I love college football. I love playing golf. I love fishing. I love hunting. I love doing all that. But when we're making our runs, guys, we put all that away. We put the golf clubs up in the attic. We literally shut off the TV. I didn't listen to sports radio anymore. I was listening to the audios of our people driving to the next meeting. So when they had an objection, I became them. And failure, you got to be willing to risk failure, meaning Sinaloa, safety in numbers and law of averages. I learned that from the insurance game. Y'all got to learn that yourself. It's just about the law of numbers. And don't compare your numbers to someone else. Exactly. Comparison is a thief of joy. Don't compare your numbers to someone else just because they may take off. Your time will come. Look at my buddy David Helgeson, him and his wife. Chris, they just hit IMD, awesome, and it took them 8 years. Was it worth it? Yes. Absolutely. 8 years to have freedom, it means a lot. And don't compare yourself to someone that may have hit it in 2 years. It's all the same once you get across that finish line. And the last thing is love. See, I fell in love with Wayne Nugent. I fell in love with this vision. And see, when you fall in love with something, you become passionate about it. You just got to have it. And I had to have freedom. I had to be able to wake up when I want it, do whatever I want, as long as I want, whenever I want. And so with that comes the dream, the struggle, the prize, just like my buddy talks about Byron. The dream, the struggle, the prize. We all want to jump to the prize right off the bat. That's just natural. We're an instant gratification society. We're a microwave society. We want it now. Unfortunately, that's not how this works. We got to put in the work. So are you doing the one-on-ones, the two-on-ones, the travel parties that lead into the big shop meetings, and it's rinse and repeat? Are you willing to do it over? But what happens with that activity then becomes fun. Because out of that activity, you get to go experience the travel product because you have the residual coming in, and you get to go do that. So now over the last 15 years, Cape Town, when we come to Africa, South Africa, that made our 251st vacation in about 12 years. Sure. 251 vacation for people that didn't travel at all. And, I see a question, how do you get prepared for training and and talks and things like that. I think it's different for everyone. For me, it's a feel thing. And you might be saying, what do you mean a feel thing? I just kind of get up there anymore, and it's I kind of feed off the crowd, you know. It's that feeling that you get from the stories that you tell, from the experience that you had, from the work that you put in. So it's those experiences that you learn to tell the story of what you were going through there that time and the mindset that you had. And it comes down to posture. See, just my belief is more than the person sitting across from me when I'm showing this, that I'm going to put in 50,000 people. Are you coming with me or are you not? And if you're social proof. So when I personally bring in somebody, Cindy can tell you, I'll almost make myself physically sick if I don't have somebody under them in 24 hours.
Wow.
Why? Because I want to show them this works without them. And you might be 24 hours. They're not on the clock. I'm on the clock. I got to get somebody under them very, very quickly. So how do you do that? Activity.
Well, that's you guys. I asked you one question. You threw so many nuggets down. So I hope everybody wrote down as much notes as we did, because guys, you're absolute legends. You're giving a full training. And you know, I was actually going to ask you how you prepared for that, and you said that. But Jeff, where do you find your material? I always wanted to ask this because, you know, we see these IMDs standing on stage delivering such impactful, resourceful content. Where is this content that you, when you stand on stage at Momentum, for example, is this the stuff that you just talk about based on your experience over the 15 years? Or do you actually sit down and go somewhere to find the information?
For me, it's been experience, but, you know, I would tell you this, sometimes that information is stolen from our next friend. So, you know, you see one of your trainers do a good talk and you're like, hey man, can I have that training? And then you kind of implement it into your own, you know? So
Brilliant.
Some of that stuff is, you know, self-taught, but some of it is you learn from others. And, you know, but for me, a lot of it is, you know, if there's one thing that we've been known at for the last 15 years is driving depth.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know the key to this. It's driving depth. That's the key. Why? Because again, you're showing people that this works without them, but more importantly is you're driving depth in the legs. So there's only 4 things I track. I don't have to go and do busy activity with logging into my back office and learning all this stuff. All I want to know is how many people did I personally talk to this week personally? How many people did I personally sponsor? How many people are on the trainings? And how deep is the leg? See, for you new folks is we have a 2-team system called a binary, just a fancy word for 2. And it's how quick can you get to 100 deep in each one of those legs? Because when you get to usually 100 deep in each one of those legs, guess where you can go? You can go to the bank because there's enough residual coming in because you found somebody. And it's usually not the person that you bring in who's the one. It's usually the person that you bring in who leads you to the one. One thing we've been good at is almost like being a talent scout. We're driving depth. We're driving depth. We're driving depth. And we're a talent scout to see who raises their hand and is going to follow through with what they said they're going to do. And it's a classic example. You don't need everyone. And you might be saying, what do you mean by that? Well, if you looked at our 4th business center when we took it to IMD several years back, we had already put in hundreds of personals in the other 3 positions. But in the 4th position, we start driving one leg. I put 10 in, and I called Troy, and I have this classic comment. No one's doing anything. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Guess what? Look back in the mirror and say, well, what have I done lately? So I got to go drop in another 10. I got to go drop in another 10. So long story short, we had 187 personals in that position when we hit IMD the 4th time.
Wow.
Out of that 187, 7 of them did anything. 4 of them were 86% of the business. So let me ask you this question. What happened if we'd have stopped at personal 29?
Exactly.
What happened if we'd have stopped at personal 43? What happens if we'd have stopped at personal 119? What happens if we'd have stopped at personal 167? we would have never sorted through enough people to find them. And some people might be saying, I don't want to do that. I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to the person that absolutely wants to change their life. So when are you going to make a decision to change your life? If not now, when? See, we'll never have a captive audience like we do now. I just heard a crazy stat on some iPod or something that there could be almost 300 million people unemployed by the end of July.
Crazy.
300 million? And are you kidding me? And we can't go show them a $25 silver package that could change their life. And I mean, I'm getting fired up now. It's like, this is the time. So a lot of people say, if you could go back in time, Jeff, back to 15 years ago, what would you do different? This is what I'd do different. I'd show more people faster, and I'd get them to the trainings. Mm-hmm. Here's the mistake I made back in the day. If they didn't want to do the business, I told them they couldn't even buy the product. Now that was crazy stuff on my part. Hey, I don't want to do the business. Okay, well, you don't qualify. You don't get to do it anyway. And they're like, well, I'd like to go on a trip. Well, you can't do it without the business. If I could go back in time and be a little smarter there, I'd have put a lot more customers in. But if they want to be just a customer, obviously that's how we get paid. We love them up, get them on a dream trip, let them experience. And then, that monthly you have, let's go get your 4 and waive that fee. And they're more apt to do it. But the bottom line is, what is the posture that you have when you're presenting this? What is the mindset that you have? Do you have the mindset when somebody tells you no, or, hey, my brother-in-law said this was a scam, and you might cower down and say, okay, I didn't hear those things. So would the gold or platinum best fit you? And they're like, this guy's freaking crazy. Yeah, I was crazy for freedom, crazy to spend time with my family and friends and be able to do it all over the world and teach people how to do the same. See, this is what's cool. Y'all are in Africa. We're in Oklahoma, but it's just like we're in the same room. We have the same vision. We have the same belief that we want freedom for all our team, but it comes with the dream, the struggle, the prize. Are you willing to put in the activity to go do it?
Love it. Love it.
So we've only got about 3 more questions for you guys. We sent you questions yesterday, and Jeff and Cindy, you guys have literally sailed through all of them, and we only want to keep you for 30 minutes basically. But what I want to know, 251 dream trips. Andrew and I thought like we were doing okay on 34. So you got to step up your game. We need a catch up.
Let's do Robia bucks.
Yeah, we need some Robia bucks. So out of 251, each of you give us a highlight out of those 251. I know you've probably got like so many that were just amazing.
Which is the trip that stands out?
Which was the trip?
I would say, obviously, Santorini. Well, one of our favorite places is in the Bahamas, but I'd say Santorini, Greece. We absolutely love Italy. Went to Italy to go train with Mark and Stavros and Martin, and we went back and we took our kids, and
that's what stands out.
It was spectacular to go see stuff together for the first time and hear stuff about in books that we were able to go see in person. I look back for our kids, probably most impactful when we first getting started. They went on a bottle school trip, and when they came back, it was unbelievable. And I can't, it was about the time my daughter was 15, and we were leading into her 16th birthday. And for years, all we talked about was this 16th birthday and how we was going to have this big party and what she wanted to do. Well, she goes on that bottle school trip, and literally that last day, she's bawling like a baby because the kids are just hugging her and don't want her to leave. And on the way back, she looked at me and she said, Daddy, I don't want nothing for my 16th birthday. I just want to go do this again.
Amazing.
Wow.
That's where you get the chill bumps and start knowing it's impactful. Or your son, at 10 years old, it goes and, Christmas is coming up. And, usually it's, hey, Dad, can I get this? Can I get this? And get this? And he looks over at me when we're driving down the road and he said, Daddy, don't get me nothing for Christmas. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I saw those kids down there that didn't have absolutely nothing, and they were so happy, so I don't need anything. See, then you're making an impact. Wow. And that's the most meaningful, and that's what travel does, man. It gets in your system. I remember, not to bore you this, but this is what happened. We did our first big chill trip probably 10 years ago. And we go to Cabo and we took 3,000 people. It was awesome. We had kids playing in the pool. We had friends going crazy. And I had a friend that wasn't a builder, but he went on the trip with us. He loved what we're doing. And he looked over at me, and it's one of those moments I knew exactly what he's going to say before he said it. And he said, I know why you go so hard now. He said, look at all these people. Look at all the lives you're impacting. And it's that feeling you get from travel. And I'm not knocking this. I can't get that from a pill, potion, or lotion, man. You know, hey, take this, you'll feel better. Well, man, I've done that. I don't feel any different. But I sure felt that sunburn down there in Cabo. I felt that. So, you know, there's just, travel's fun. And, you know, what's your favorite? It's the people that you're hanging around that makes it spectacular. Yeah. So, you know, we've been able to take, here's what's crazy. We go to Cancun one time, and we're sitting there, and we're there about 7 days. I think it was on a RMD trip or IMD trip or something. And somebody makes the suggestion, well, I don't want to go home yet. Let's just go somewhere else. So I think we went to Florida from there, stayed about 6 or 7 days, and then went to Colorado, and then I think back to Cabo. We did about a 4-week deal there. It was just back to back to back to back. So, but you do that. I see so many people that want to live this IMD lifestyle before they get there. So they're pushing. They hit director, they hit marketing director, and they're really catching momentum. And they say, let's pull back the reins and take a breath. I'm not trying to step on your toes, but that's not the time to take a breath. Why? Because you have momentum. Momentum is the most precious commodity that you'll ever have in this business. And once you get your foot on the throat of momentum, never stop, because that will carry you on through RMD, NMD, and up to IMD. If you're willing to have the faith and you're willing to put up a barrier that when your friends and family are closest ones to you is telling you, this is stupid, this is crazy, this won't work, you bow your back and look them back in the face and said, I tell you what, one of us is going to be right. And let that play through your mind as you're going to show the next one. If you've seen the movie The Miracle, another one, again. That's all this was playing through my mind. I have to show another one. There's no secret to this. There's no magic wand. There's no magic script that you can go learn. The question is, are you going to pick up the 10,000-pound gorilla, call the phone, and call the next person? That's all this is. It's about, are you willing to rinse and repeat and make it happen? And guess what? Magical things can happen if you're willing to do the right thing long enough. We're living proof that dreams come true. Wow. Was it easy? It was worth it.
Love it. Guys, you know, you've been absolute legends on this call. You've answered everything so precisely, and you've thrown such value. I want to close off quickly with one question before Sally finishes off. Jeff, this is more aimed at you. Knowing what you know now about the multi-level network marketing industry, what advice would you give your younger self starting out in the network marketing industry for the very first time? Because you've learned a lot of lessons.
Well, the bottom line is don't prejudge anyone, because in the early years, when I was building my list, I prejudged. And what happens is, guys, for you new folks out there, usually the people you think will do this won't, and the people you think won't will. So as you're building your list, and the advice would be this: if I could go back in time, I would show more people faster, and I would get them to a training as quick as I can, or on a dream trip. Now, understand, we are in this crazy COVID time, and you might not be able to take a trip right now, but you can darn sure get them to a training. So, you know, when you're building your list, this is what I want you to do. I want you to write everyone down, every single person. And I know you've heard this before, and someone might say, I've got them right here in the phone. I don't need to write them down. I didn't say that. I said write them down on paper. And when you start to call them, look at the number on the right. Don't look to the left. And you might be saying, what do you mean? All I want you to do is like put a divider down the middle of the page and look at the number. Don't look at the name. Go ahead and dial the number. Then you can look at the name. Now it's already in motion. You can't sit there and prejudge, man, John's the president of the bank, and I can't believe I'm actually calling him. Because what I found is usually the more successful the person is, the quicker they get it, and I can get a yes or no faster. And that's all I'm looking for, a yes or no. I hate maybes, and I don't chase people, but I do drip on them. Mm-hmm. So as I'm building my list, I'm going through it quickly. The people that are on the think about it or maybe not right now, guess what? I still drip on them. And I text them about once a week and say, hey, I just want to let you know, I know you're sitting on the fence. Well, we put in about 10 to 12 since we talked to you. You could have been first. Or if they are in hey, let me talk to my wife, let me do whatever. If I get 2 or 3 or 4 on paper, I'm going to call that person back and say, hey, I know you had to talk to your wife or whatever, but I got 3 or 4 sitting right here. I can put them in right under you if you're ready to get started. That's called shopping the app. See, people get started more for what they're going to lose than what they're going to gain. They don't want to miss out. But you better be willing to back it up with that activity to have to be able to put somebody under them fast. That's the secret. I want to show them this works without them, and you got to do that by sorting through your list quick. So all I want you to do is call the number, then you can look over at the name. You can get nervous after that, but you can't get nervous just dialing the number.
Exactly that. Well, guys, you know what? It's been, once again, we have missed you since we met you in Cape Town, and we've been watching you with your new puppy and your daughter's birthday and obviously 4th of July. So, you know, from us to you, we're just so blessed that we've had you on the call and we get to say hello to you once again. Can't wait to have you back in Cape Town. And I see that 2 things. If I can ask you for David Helgeson, we would love to get him on a call. And secondly, I saw that Martin and Dio just raised his hand, and we want to give a shout out to him. Jeff and Cindy, East Africa has been on fire. He's done 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, he did 95,
cycle over 100 times
95, 100, and he crushed this week 109 cycles. So we want to give Martin a massive shout out. He's really not well done, Martin.
If I could leave y'all one thing, if I may. Here's what I want you to think about, and I assume it's Sunday night for you guys there.
Yeah.
A lot of you, I mean, we got hundreds of people on this call. You made a decision to get on this call. If you make a decision to go build this thing, start now. Start now, meaning this. If you were going to say, okay, I'm starting now, I'm going to have the conversation with my significant other, spouse, kids, whatever. I'm going for it. I'm going to take the next 90 to 120 days, and I'm going to be like Martin. I want to cycle over 100 times a week. Okay. If you're going to talk to 100 people over the next year, now this is going to get some of you. If I'm going to talk to 100 people over the next year, you want to blow this up and be the hottest thing in the company. Do it over the next 30 days. Yeah. That's the formula. When we make big runs, if you're going to talk to 100 people over the next year, do it in the next 30 days and watch what happens. They'll be calling all over saying, what the heck happened to Africa? Why are they putting in so many people? They put in the activity. They put in the activity. It's just the way it is. And Martin could probably tell you the same thing. He put in the activity to make that happen. And you don't do that sitting on the couch or watching ESPN till noon. It's getting, and I don't care when you get up when you get up, but at that point, are you moving? Are you treating this thing just like your job and doing the thing? But everybody on here, if you said, I'm going to show 100 people in the next 30 days, we could get on a webinar 30 days from now, and your business would be deeply impacted.
Absolutely. Jeff, Cindy, I want to ask you guys one thing. 5 times IMD, are we going to see it? Is it going to happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to happen, but here's what we're more focused on right now is helping all the people that came with us. We want to solidify what they did and that kind of thing. And we're itching to get back. We're doing the Zoom stuff as much as we can right now until we can get back in front of people. And let me tell you about this. Just for you new people and old, I've never seen corporate, and I hate to say corporate in the field, because Wayne come from a field background. He's been to the top of companies. He's been number one money earner in companies. I've never seen corporate in the field more aligned.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen us more focused to come through this and be the biggest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a bold statement, and understand right now, when you talk about putting 100 people in or talking to 100 people over the next 30 days, see, there's about to be some more announcements that you're going to be very excited about increasing wallet share, not to give the cat out of the bag. So now the time is, if I go perform, I get a bigger piece of the pie. I will leave you with that little clue. The time is now. Martin, he's going to be getting him a big old piece of pie. But it's now's the time, guys, because don't sit back on this time and 6 months from now, when this is all behind us, you're like, golly, I never had a captive audience like I have now. You know, when people say anymore, is this network marketing? I'm like, it damn well better be.
Yeah.
It better be if I'm looking at it. And they're like, so the days of, hey, I'm not going to look at that thing, they can't say that no more. How's your life going right now? You don't even have a job. So don't be using that. Hey, is this one of those deals? It better be.
I'm excited.
It better
Absolutely.
be. So guys, we just got an idea, everyone on this call. Andrew's going to make a slide for us, Africa, 130 days. And Jeff and Cindy Bolf, you guys have poured into us tonight. Africa is more inspired than ever. And look out for the next big story, which is going to come out of Africa, because it's going to come on this call.
Guys, we've loved
God
having you on the
bless.
call. Thank you so much.
You guys deserve it.
We love your culture.
Yeah.
We love the people.
You deserve it.
Y'all are understand it's not going unnoticed. There's a talk here in the States of what's going on over there. And the bottom line is you're getting it done. And so it was an absolute pleasure to be on here, and just thanks for asking.
Hopefully we'll see you guys soon in person.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Lots of
Love you
love.
guys.
Good night.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Shout out,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck. 100 people, 30 days. Let's go.
Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it. Thanks,
God
guys.
bless.
God bless. And team, thank you so much. And the recording will be up on our Building for Success YouTube channel. It will be uploaded tomorrow, and you're more than welcome to share it with your team. So guys, from us to you, God bless. Have an amazing week. 100 personals, 30 days. Let's get this thing done. Martin, we're coming for you, brother.
And guys, I'm going to get Andrew to make a slide for Africa. Everyone in this call, let's make a commitment. 100 people to show in the next 30 days. We'll pop the slide on all the groups. East Africa, if you guys can share it with your teams out there. South Africa, I know we've got a lot of people on this call, so guys, please feel free. We're going to splash that slide everywhere, and let's make everyone jump on board, one big team. Take care, guys.
Awesome, guys. Have a great week. God bless. Hope you enjoyed the call. Bye.